Houston, we have a problem.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show. It's great to be here with all of you. The Masters are underway. We got Thursday Night Football tonight. Some drama going on with some different NBA teams. And as Gavin had pointed out, of course, it is the Houston Rockets that we'll be covering a lot of today. Gavin, we got some exciting sports again yesterday. A little bit of a slow day to kind of go through the sports world. A lot of stuff ramped up overnight. So it's some exciting things going on. As always, Gavin, first of all, how are you doing today?
Well, Zach, I'm a little bit ticked off because my phone won't pull up the Masters, but it's whatever. It's all right. It's all right. I'll get to that after this. I'm great, and Zach, you're right. There is some problems going on in around the NBA, but first, I'm heartbroken, ladies and gentlemen. I brought the Penn State sweatshirt out for those who may or may not know Journey Brown with the heartbreaking news. And I said I wasn't going to wear the Penn State anymore, Zach, after the 0-3 start, not because they're bad, but because I was just disappointed. And now this is definitely the last day because it's going to be hard for me to wear this sweatshirt due to the news. Zach, what was your reaction to that?
You know, I saw it at first, and usually you see a lot of long letters with college guys on it. You start thinking like draft, like declaring for the NFL draft, thanking Penn State and all that. But I got a chance to read it, and I knew that he was diagnosed with a heart condition, and that's why his season was abruptly ended before it even started. And so, just reading through it, it's unfortunate. And so, it comes back to the conversation of how quickly your life can change. A lot of these guys, football is what they want. This is going to be a top prospect going into the draft either this year or next year, but I mean, injuries, it's a non-contact injury that he had developed. It's a condition, a medical condition that they had discovered during a routine checkup, I believe. So it's a great thing they were able to point out, potentially saving his life. And so we'll have to see what his involvement is going to look like in the future. He has talked about his love for football and how he really fell in love with the game. It's a really heartbreaking and unfortunate turn of events for such a talented young running back. And in the likes of Saquon Barkley and Miles Sanders, it's big shoes to fill, and he was on his way to doing so. So, I mean, this is before even the season started that we knew he was unfortunately going to miss the year. And now the news that his career will be abruptly ended and be forced into medical retirement, it's upsetting. And we talked about Dak Prescott before, when these guys, just one injury can change your life. Fortunately, Dak seems like he's going to be all right. He'll be able to come back and recover from it. But for a guy like Journey Brown, his future is very much up in hands. We don't know what he's going to do, whether he's going to have to turn and look at university and see what he'll either his major change, or if he's going to pursue whatever his major is currently, or if he does want to stay into the sports world and find a way to participate and help. Because at the end of the day, everybody's got to be able to get theirs. Everybody's got to be able to be successful. And unfortunately for him, he's not going to be able to count on football anymore for his due to his medical condition. But I hope nothing but the best for him. I hope he finds his true passion outside of playing football. Perhaps it's coaching, perhaps it's helping out wherever he can. And I wish nothing but the best for him. This is really devastating news to witness and devastating news to see, not only because of how talented he was, but just because from the personal perspective, this is a passion of his, a lifelong dream to play in the NFL. And he got so close and arguably would have been a first-round draft pick coming into the draft when he declared. But again, I mean, some things get cut short, very unfortunate, but it's not about the cards you're dealt. It's about how you use it. So I think that's going to be a big thing for him. It's going to be a true testament to his character. And I look forward to seeing an exciting story coming out of this.
I'm going to view this as a glass half full type, Zach, because here's why. Yes, right now, the heartbreaking news, you don't want to hear it. It sucks to hear. You know, we wish him the best. I'm a firm believer that with the medicine and the technology we have now, that condition could get fixed, could get resolved, and he could be back in pads again. That's how I'm going to view it. That's how I'm continuing going to view it. When it's the heart, it's no jokes, nothing to play with. But you wish him nothing but the best, and you just hate to see it. Zach, I consider Journey Brown arguably the best running back in this draft, maybe behind Najee Harris. But you just hate to see it, Zach. You really do. I do believe that there could be a chance he could play again. I hope he stays around in the sports world, but you wish him nothing but the best.
Yeah, no doubt. Couldn't agree more on that. Like you said, in glass half full. I mean, there's a possibility there. I'm looking at it more from the perspective how he can find a way to help others who are dealing with a similar condition. Because a lot of guys make great stories out of this, and that's the bottom line. What can you do with what you
Dornbach is another one.
I mean, yes. I mean, and we can see, these stories turn out. It's about perseverance. It's about fighting. It's only the beginning of a chapter, and I look forward to seeing potentially how he can turn it around and see what he can do. And so with that being said, we'll continue to cover that. Of course, Penn State football, not the season that we've wanted, but at the end of the day, this is something that you look at, and from the humane perspective, you understand that this is a tough situation. So nothing but the best for Journey Brown, his family, and of course his Penn State family as well. But shifting gears now as we cover the basketball world, a lot of news coming out overnight, really. All of a sudden it starts out like there's some problems in Houston. They voiced their concerns about the future of the franchise, culture. All of a sudden Russell Westbrook demanding a trade, which I think was just him jumping the gun before the Rockets said we're going to look to trade you. And then James Harden all of a sudden back and forth, and the day he's committed, maybe he's not. The Sixers are one of the teams he has listed as a potential trade interest. I just read a recent tweet saying that the Charlotte Hornets potentially are a suitor for Russell Westbrook, also a team like the Clippers and the Knicks. Gavin, there's a lot going on, and I'll let you kick that off and get some of your thoughts here with the Rockets.
My initial thought is this, Zach, and I'm going to take a different approach. This is my emotion thought coming out right now. Why, when Steven Silas, a black man, gets a job, a coaching job, and now all the stars and everybody wants to crumble? Almost like the setup for failure, Zach. And we talked about this a lot off the show and opportunities, and Steve Nash even came out and said, the opportunities that he got with, jumping into a great situation there in Brooklyn. You thought Steven Silas was going to get a great opportunity in Houston, and come to find out, it looks like a job from hell. I mean, his stars in the league yet, but it looks like Russell Westbrook's about to go. James Harden, we don't know about James Harden yet. It looks like James Harden's going to stay, but and you got PJ Tucker, who deserves a little bit more money. Played the 5 this year. He's not a 5. He's more like a 4 or 3. Then you have a guy in Eric Gordon who is just unhappy all around. That's just my personal feeling. Unfair for Steven Silas to walk into a situation like that to wait in 20 years. But now, onto a basketball look. It looks bad in Houston. They have a serious problem. No pun intended. Houston, they do have a problem. Zach, when I look at the Houston Rockets and I look at this team and I look at Russell Westbrook, it sounded like a great idea for him and James Harden to be together. But then if you think about it, the way how James Harden plays the game where he needs the ball in his hands to score does not contribute to Russell Westbrook. That was great about Chris Paul. Chris Paul was a great 3-point shooter, not the best. He did his job. He was a great mid-range shooter.
Good passer, good closer.
Great passer. Yeah, exactly. That's what made Clint Capella work. You add a guy, Zach, Russell Westbrook's just a smaller Ben Simmons with a better jump shot, baby. That's what he really is. You add a guy, which it seemed good because they work well, and I want to get you in here. But, Zach, what I'm trying to say is this. If you thought Russell Westbrook and James Harden was going to work on paper and on views, it looked good, but the nitty-gritty and the offense they just ran, no. I wish they give Steven Silas a chance before you went out Russ, but I guess that's the way it is.
I'm not. I mean, there's a lot to break down from what you just said. I mean, I never thought Westbrook and Harden would be a great fit. Once again, when they returned together, maybe with Kevin Durant, you had a whole team in OKC built well, and they kind of did some knee-jerk things. They traded Clint Capella. They tried to go small ball. It didn't work. I mean, this team is ready for a rebuild. I've said it before. I mean, you've run into a couple good teams. I mean, stop trying to force things that don't work. And so I think that was kind of the general gist when they brought in their new head coach, and they started doing these things like, are they trying to make one more run? I mean, he's firing Mike D'Antoni, and then mutually deciding not to be together. The front office, there were signs of tanking even before the coaching hire, Gavin. So I think that's going to be the big thing. I think that was the concern of this team. I think they want to play, and of course they want to contend for championships, but there was this gist of, okay, maybe we're starting to go into a similar to the Sixers where we're going to go into a tanking era. But I mean, there's no reason that you can't still build this team around James Harden properly. I just think Russell Westbrook was far from the right decision. I think another kind of like Chris Paul, or possibly moving Harden to the 1 and bringing in a different complementary shooting guard, a little bit less of a guy who needs to have the ball in his hands to score. Because like you said, Gavin, that's going to be a problem. If Westbrook can't score, if he doesn't have the balls in his hands, it's going to be problematic. And that's something you're going to see, and it's going to continue to happen. And so I think it's a really tough situation for that team to be able to have that kind of success.
When I think of a guy that doesn't really need the ball in his hands, Paul George. After the playoff performance, you don't want the ball in his hands at all. But, Zach, Paul George could be, I'm not going to say a great fit, but he's a spot-up shooter. You got guys, you can find people to do that. Buddy Hield could be a spot shooter, but that's in our favor. But, Zach, I don't know. I'm not fond of this whole situation going on in Houston. Daryl Morey knew what was going on. He knew they were going down. He got out just in the nick of time. He really did, Zach. He stepped down. He knew what was going on. I think this was a problem all along. And I think the fact of the bubble and the pandemic kind of shifted from the real story. But we knew this Russ and Harden wasn't going to work. Especially they never really clicked that well either. They never really had like a tear. Zach, how teams going to run, like the Lakers want to run, the Clippers want to run, then the Celtics and the Sixers. These guys never really went on a run. They never did, and they kind of never caught fire at all. They just mellowed out, heated up, and then kind of cooled off. I do see Russell Westbrook being moved, which if you're Steven Silas and a guy that that wants to see more African American coaches be hired, you hate to see it. You really do.
Yeah, I mean, you make some great points as far as what they want to do, what this team wants to look like. I don't know right now. There's not enough information out. Of course, you would want to see a guy like James Harden. He's a really talented scorer, and if he doesn't go down with a rim, I think it's unfortunate. But guys got to do what they can do. I don't think like you mentioned with the different factors that you've put in. Kevin Durant knew he wasn't going to win a ring in OKC. I mean, probably would have if he stayed, in my opinion. But they also, with the James Harden trade the year before, I do think honestly that Kevin Durant went to the Warriors to get his rings. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I want rings. I don't care what you guys think of me. If I get some rings and I win Finals MVP, if I take the spotlight away from the All-Star of the Golden State Warriors, hell, I mean that's a great move for him. I think that these guys are starting to look at it for their own interest, and they've given all they have to this organization. At least James Harden has. There's not much more you can ask for from him. So we will see how that plays out. Of course, the Sixers are on the mind for us. We have some bias in there, given that we kind of would like to see that happen. But again, I'm not sacrificing Simmons or Embiid in either of those situations. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
I'll take Buddy Hield first.
I agree. I think that's a better fit. You're going to give up less. So coming up after this, Titans or Colts, who is going to be winning this AFC South battle tonight? That's tonight. It's actually not a terrible Thursday night football game. Congratulations to the NFL scheduling committee for getting something right. We will cover that with predictions after this.
We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewers' choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode.
Welcome back. We are currently simultaneously streaming the Masters Championship, so that's why my eyes have kind of been a little bit up and down. Continuing with the coverage, Bryson DeChambeau just hit on a par 5, a 291-yard carry into a tough spot on a par 5, but he'll have a 160-yard or so approach shot in. He has not had the strongest start. He's at even par right now. The leader is at 2 under, so we'll continue to cover that tomorrow with our final predictions. We had some predictions yesterday. Tiger Woods also starting off today. I've yet to check his score, but we will continue to cover that. But, Gavin, as we pointed out before, we're back to it. Titans or Colts. I mean, this is going to be a good game tonight. You have a really good defense on the Colts side, a really struggling defense on the Titans side, and then you have a really good balanced approach with Phillip Rivers and the Colts, and then you have a very run-heavy approach with the Ryan Tannehill Tennessee Titans with Derrick Henry, who's having an absolutely insane year so far to back up what he did in the playoffs. So, Gavin, what are you looking forward to tonight, and what is your prediction for the game?
Well, I'm looking forward to the Titans' third down defense. Zach, one of the worst third down defenses ever. Every team has converted against the Titans on third down. One of the worst in the league statistically. I'm also looking at the Colts too, and I'm looking at Phillip Rivers. What Phillip Rivers shows up? Are we going to see the Phillip Rivers versus Cleveland, where he was giving away souvenirs, which would I mean, ladies and gentlemen, interceptions? Or are we going to see the Phillip Rivers versus Joe Burrow, where he started off slow and then kind of lit it up? What Phillip Rivers are we going to see, ladies and gentlemen? Are we going to see the one with the age, or are we going to see the one with with promise? When it comes to the Tennessee offense, A.J. Brown is going to be a really problem for the secondary of the Colts. Zach, the Colts defense is underrated, especially in the linebacking court when it comes to Darius Leonard. All right, he caused Lamar Jackson problems last week. He forced a fumble and recovered it, kind of had a little bit of return. But Zach, this Colts defense is nothing to joke around with. They can shut down the run, but it is Derrick Henry on the other side. But the keys for the night is going to be Phillip Rivers, the third down defense of the Titans, and I think it's got to be Ryan Tannehill and A.J. Brown.
I agree. That linebacking core you mentioned, their safeties as well. Unfortunately, Malik Hooker got hurt early in the year and will not be playing. But they still have some great depth at that position. A couple other guys in that secondary who are a little bit unheard of but have been doing their job this year. Now, I do personally have Ryan Tannehill starting in my major fantasy league tonight, so I'm not so sure how confident I am starting him. My only other option is Derek Carr. Again, when you have Dak Prescott and he gets hurt, unfortunately, you're stuck in a poor situation. But it's all right, Gavin. You should know a thing or two about fantasy after I've beaten you this year. I'll hope I play you again at least before the season ends, because I'm not sure I'll see you in the playoffs. But maybe you'll turn it around. Maybe you'll turn it around. I'll let you get a response to that before I get my Titans and Colts prediction.
Listen. You didn't have to look 2-6, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of them have been closing out games, and some have been poor choices by me, but it's all right. Ladies and gentlemen, Zach Riggs will lead. That's all you need to know. You know,
I'm just good at drafting. I'm good at recognizing some talent.
Good at drafting. You got lucky.
How'd I get lucky?
You got the first pick, Zach. What you mean?
All right. Usually the first pick isn't always the best. McCaffrey's been hurt. So,
ladies and gentlemen, don't let this man fool you. All right, he's getting lucky with Aaron Jones. All right. Did we know Aaron Jones is going to score 40 fantasy points a week? Did you know?
I did. You know why? Because I do my research.
Okay, well, what do you Adam Schefter of fantasy football now? What are you going to tell me everything?
I did hear that Schefter has an insane team in fantasy football, and that's
he does.
That's not a shocker. He has a really every year he always has. I can imagine his waiver wire also, his pickups are. It's just unfair with him. So we'll continue to talk about fantasy football throughout the week. Going into this week, we have a few more games before the playoffs, and we'll continue to do coverage on our More Than Philly League as that continues. I'll post the brackets and more. But for the Titans-Colts game, I am taking the Titans. I do not see the Colts having the best night. I think that it is going to be a close game. I'm going to say it's going to be 27-20. I'm going to take the Titans. I think it's going to be a pretty balanced game, probably tied up at halftime, and the Titans run away in the fourth quarter and get the final score they need. And then Derrick Henry gets a few tough runs to keep the ball out of the Colts' hands. But the key is also going to be clock management. Who does it better? Of course, the Titans have a better run game. But if you stop the run early for the Colts, you're going to force Philip Rivers to pass, which means you're going to force him into some mistakes. That's going to be the key for the Titans. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. But if Jonathan Taylor and Naeem Hines have a really good night, it could be bad for the Titans. But I'll tell you this, Gavin, whichever team has more total rushing yards will win the game.
Rushing is key. Both teams have great, phenomenal running backs. I like. Derrick Henry is the all around piece. I prefer the backfield of Indiana. We know Marlon Mack went down with injury. My fantasy running back, of course, ladies and gentlemen. Marlon Mack went down with an injury, and then Jonathan Taylor, I think AJ Dillon. No, that's not. That's Green Bay. And Hines. Naeem Hines. Fantastic backs. They're elusive. They carry their own weight in different ways.
And they have a great line in front of it, which is as important as having a good running back.
They have the better backfield, but Tennessee has the better runner. But Zach, when it comes to tonight's game, it's going to be a close one. I say 31-28, Tennessee.
Is it going to be a game-winning field goal by Gostowski?
Yeah, he owes. He
does owe that team because they should have one more win. The Titans are a good team. Unfortunately, whatever in the world they did against the Bengals was just a bad showing. But I think they'll have a good night tonight.
They have a good night tonight, and I don't see them going back to the AFC Championship this year.
Yeah, no, I mean they've looked good. They look promising. They've hung with the Steelers. Just a quick update here. Patrick Reed just went bunker to bunker, the defending champion from on that par 3. So he'll have to recover. We'll continue with that coverage. But yes, Gavin, as you pointed out, Derrick Henry's the better running back. They have another back who I forget his name at the time, but he has looked just as complimentary, just as good as he needs to. But the key again is going to be the run game, but also the quarterbacks. Third down, who's going to make the bigger throws? Ryan Tannehill or Philip Rivers, and we'll find out to that. We'll continue to cover that and more. As we recap tomorrow, we'll see if we can get an hour show. There's a possibility. Gavin, we'll have that conversation off the show, of course. But we'll also figure out some other things we'll do, of course, NFL picks for the week and the weekend. Talking about the Eagles and Giants on Sunday at 1 o'clock. We'll see who can prevail in the amazing NFC East. And then we can go from there. With that being said, everyone, thank you so much for joining us on our short show of the More Than Philly.
Real quick, Zach. Because I'm sorry to cut you off, but JT Realmuto declined the option.
That's right, yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got 1 minute left. I'm not going to scream about it.
I'm not too worried. It's like when you decline, it's only the only option was a 1-year deal. So either he doesn't want to be in Philly or he just wants a longer term deal. So I'm not reacting yet. And go ahead, Gavin. I have one more thing I want to say.
Zach, think about this. You ready? You get JT Realmuto back. Let's say 5-year deals. Because I didn't realize he was 30. Maybe give him 5 or 6 year 5 or 6 years, 100 million. So I don't know. Then let's say you get Didi Gregorius back, right? And then you get some arms, and then maybe you trade away Didi Gregorius and somehow get Francisco Lindor here.
Here right now, I don't know. It's a tall order for this team. The salary cap is pretty broken. Then one more thing I want to say after that, Bryson DeChambeau just hit one out of bounds on the fourth hole, so not a great look for him on that par 5. But finally, Trevor Bauer, congratulations on winning the NL Cy Young Award. We'll continue to cover that. Unfortunately, baseball is going to be pretty quiet for the next few months.
Shane Bieber as well.
But congratulations to both of them. Alec Boehm coming in 3rd place in votes in Rookie of the Year. It's pretty promising for us. It's good to know that we have our corner locked up at 3rd base. With that being said, everyone, thank you so much for joining us here today. Have a great day.
Have a good one, everybody.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post excerpts of our videos. Again, thanks for watching.